Yo, what's up with it? What's going on, man? What's going on with everybody up out there, man? I hope that everybody having a fantastic Friday. It's Friday, it's the weekend, and all that good stuff up out there, man. Now, before we get this video started, man, I want y'all to know that Black admission, I'm kind of having some little difficulties with that right now. So I'll be getting that back rolling. Hopefully I'll get that back up next week for y'all. I'm working on that. Having some difficulties with trying to record the video and put that in, put that at the beginning and everything like that. So don't worry, y'all. It'll be back. I'm just trying to work on that. Also, I want to let y'all know that y'all can become a member to Trek and Chubby if you would like to do so. It's only $2, man. Help support the channel. You know, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, because even if you don't like it, I'm pretty sure that one of your friends or your family may be rocking with me, and they'll go ahead and they'll support the channel, man. So salute to everybody up out there, man. Before we go ahead and we get into this Baylor versus Colorado preview, little quick breakdown of some of the key points that I think that may help both teams. Now, I'm trying to do this in the most unbiased way and give a key points for both teams and talk about some of the good players for both of these teams here. Now, if I'm Baylor, right, I want to dare CU to run the ball because CU is passing the ball 70% of the time and they're only running the ball 30% of the time. I mean, okay, and no, it doesn't sound like that, right? In the last game they played against Colorado State, you said, well, they ran the ball. Well, it was effective. And I said that. The runs were effective. You know what I mean? Another word for effective, successful. It worked. The couple of runs that they had worked, right? They had 17 rushes for 96 yards, 26% of their offense. They passed the ball 49 times versus Colorado State, 306 yards, which was 74% of their offense, right? So you know what they want to do. They're going to pass the ball. And hopefully the couple of runs they do get in, it does work and it's successful or it works, right? Hopefully it's just effective in the game. Now, I know that some people heard me say 17 times. Well, the one run, we don't count that because that counted as a sack. It went as a sack on the record. So you really don't want to count that one rush that Shador had and that Google may be putting up there because it's misleading. And sometimes stats can't be, right? Because it was a sack. He gave himself up. He ran out. So that's 17 rushes instead of the 18. You get what I'm saying? So, and what they're doing is, so in the first game, Colorado ran the ball 22 times for 65 yards, which was 39% of their offense. And this was one of their most balanced games was versus North Dakota State because they passed the ball 61% of the time. You know, they threw the ball, 35 times. Shador had 455 yards, right? That was one of their most balanced games, to be honest, was against North Dakota State. Their second game against Nebraska, Shador dropped back 46 times, threw for 244 yards, 75% of the offense, ran the ball 15 times for 65 yards, which have only been 25% of the offense. You go ahead and you do the math on it, 70-30, right? All right. So that's, if you're Baylor, that's what you want to do. You want to go ahead and hopefully you get some pressure with your four down defensive linemen, and that you can confuse this offensive line a little bit. Go ahead and play with that and use them big guys that you got that we'll get to talking about a little bit later. I'll get to telling you about some of the key players for Baylor, some of the guys maybe to watch out for, and I'll do that also for Colorado. But I want to talk about a little bit of keys, right? And if I'm Colorado, I want to do the complete opposite with Baylor, right? Because the first game versus Baylor played, versus Tarleton State, which ain't a big game. They ran the ball 42 times for 175 yards, which is 60% of their offense. Second game versus Utah, they ran the ball 37 times for 140 yards, which is 61% of their offense. This last game versus Air Force, they ran the ball 36 times with 200 yards, which was 59% of the offense. So you look at that, their ratio in their offense, pass 40%, run 60%. So I want to take the run away from Baylor completely. I want them to force them to pass the ball. Another reason why is because that quarterback that they have, DeQuan Finn was in. DeQuan Finn was in the first two games, Tarleton State and versus no, Utah. And he threw two interceptions in the Tarleton State game. Didn't look good. He only threw for 115 yards and dropped back 24 times in the Utah game. And it was just horrible. It was a horrible display. Couldn't get anything going. So those receivers and their quarterback, I would say, don't have that much in-game experience. Now with Sawyer Robinson, the quarterback who is looking like he's going to start versus Colorado, he dropped back against Air Force 25 times, 248 yards. That was only still 41% of their offense in that game. They ran for 59% versus Air Force. Now, Sawyer Robinson threw only 25 passes to the receivers. So he only has 25 reps this year with these guys, if you're looking at it from that point of view. And you get where I'm going with that, right? So when you got the defensive backs that Colorado has, Carter Stoudemire, Solomon Craig, I'm sorry, because that his name sometimes and the last name just runs together. So it's Cameron Solomon Craig. And then you have DJ McKinney, Preston Hodge, Travis Hunter, and those guys, so that is a good tandem. That's almost one of their strengths on that defense. They've been doing pretty good back there, right? They've been doing decent. And I'm almost willing to take those guys in this game versus Baylor and force Baylor to do that. Beat me passing the ball. I'm trying to take the run away from y'all because I know y'all got two running backs that can tote it, right? Baylor has a few running backs that can tote the ball. I mean, when you look at Richard Reese, he's one of their faster guys. He's like faster out of the backfield. Dawson Pendergrass, he's their bruising running back. Then they got Dominique, I believe his name is Dominique Richardson. Dominique Richardson and Bryson Washington. He just had 106 yards versus Air Force, right? And he only carried the ball 12 times, 106 yards, had a touchdown. He was averaging 8.8 yards a carry. And Dawson Pendergrass, he's averaging 5 yards per carry a game. Richard Reese is averaging 4 yards per carry a game. He's averaging like 47 yards a game. And Dawson Pendergrass is averaging like 48 yards a game. So they like that 1-2 punch between Reese and Pendergrass. And if you're Colorado, the way that they came up on that run, I know it was versus Colorado State and a fair opponent, but the way that Nikhil Hill-Green and Bentley was coming in there, with the forced fumble and the way they was run fitting, hitting those gaps, filling those gaps, and coming up and making those plays, you're going to have to do a lot of that in this Baylor game. Now, it's going to be a bigger task because they have bigger offensive linemen, more athletic offensive linemen. They had bigger backs, stronger backs, a little bit experienced backs. So you're going to have to bring it, right? You need that play about in the Nikhil Hill-Green, 6'2", 230, 15 tackles on the season. You're going to need him to come up. Same thing with Levante Bentley, 6 foot, 230, 15 tackles, a sack and a forced fumble on the season, might I add. He got to come. They got to do their thing. They got it. That defensive line for Colorado, for the most part, I know they're not making a lot of plays in the backfield, but as far as the run goes, having Chidozie there will be a plus. But I know this Baylor game, even without Chidozie, Colorado still has the upper hand a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them things like, do I want Chidozie to come back this game? Because if I could rest him an extra game and give him the extra rest, that's what I want to do. But if I'm the coach, I'm like, all right, I'm still dressing you because I might need you to go in for a couple of snaps to try to stop this run. They're going to need all their depth. And, but then you got UCF the week after. So it's one of those things like, what do you do if the coach, because they're going to run, Baylor's going to run that ball. That's what they're going to try to establish. And Anquan Barnes been doing a decent job, 315 pounds up in there, 6'5". And I know he only got 2 tackles on the season. What are you talking about, Trucking? Well, I'm going to tell you why I said that. Well, if you're looking on film, if you're looking at the stats, they could be misleading. But if you look at on film, he's definitely doing what he needs to do, taking on a double team, holding his man down, clogging up that hole. And that's what you want them to do. Cause a little havoc up in there. Make the running back bounce out, choose another hole. You did your job as a defensive lineman sometimes. So that's why you need your linebackers, Hill Green and Bentley, to come and to be able to clean up those runs against Baylor. That's what I'm talking about there. All right. Now, when you look at if you like your Baylor, right? Colorado has the dynamic receiving core, just dynamic. These guys, I mean, Jimmy Horn Jr., LeJohntay Wester, Travis Hunter, Will Sheppard. I think Will Sheppard, this may be one of his games, right? The only reason why I say that is because I think the young man's name is Corey Gordon, 6'2", 191, one of their safeties for Baylor, 6 tackles. He got an interception on the season. Number 24 he has. And these receivers and these corners, the corners and the safeties for Baylor got a little height. Now, they do got a guy by the name Devin Bobby. He's 5'11", 196, but he's 196 though, and he's one of their premier players, 18 tackles on the season. Devin Bobby gets busy at safety, all right? He's nothing to sleep on. And I'll talk a little bit more about their defense, but right now I'm talking about Colorado's offense and why I thought Will Sheppard may be one of his games. Taller receiver, bigger guy, more of just a possession type of receiver. He may be getting a lot of touches because right now he's only averaging 47 yards a game right now. He only has and he's averaging 13 yards per catch. Will Sheppard is, when you get to looking at that, and he hasn't seen the end zone just yet. But I think Shador may be wanting to look at him in this Baylor game, right? I don't know. I don't know this to be true, but I'm just saying he's one of those possession guys, stronger, bigger receiver. Now, talking about these receivers from Colorado, their weapons, Jimmy Horn Jr., averaging 14 yards a catch. I think he's averaging 82 yards a game right now. Crazy numbers. LeJohntay Wester, he's averaging about 11 yards per catch, 52 yards per game. Travis Hunter, you already know he's going for 100 and he got 114 a game. That's what he's averaging right now. That's crazy. He's going off, man. And he's averaging 12 yards per catch, man. You know what I mean? He goes off, man. He just does a great job, yo. The kid just balls out, goes off, does his thing like crazy, bro. Goes off, right? You did. So when they playing and in this game, that's what you want to try to do if you're Colorado's, get these weapons going, right? Get these weapons going, and hopefully, Baylor, if you Baylor, you want to try to stop some of these guys. But let's talk about some of these key defensive players for both of these teams real quick, right? These key players. Get up into that. These key players, man, because listen, they both got, and I'm talking about the defense, right? Because you look at Baylor and you say this program's not that really good, but who does Baylor got? If you're a Colorado fan, you're probably sitting there like, who does Baylor have on that defense that really can hang with us? Well, I think their strong suit is the trenches, right? The trenches are experience. These guys have been together a little bit longer than what Colorado's the trenches have been. They did a decent job versus Colorado State. That's Colorado State, and it seems to be that Colorado State's defensive line has took a tremendous dip. They fell off so much without having Kamara there, so much, and I mean, and you was able to see that, but still, with that being said, you got Jackie Marshall, 6'3", 290, the junior for Baylor, 16 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. Big guy. and he's serious. He is good on that defensive tackle. His backup, maybe not so much. And see, that's where I think Baylor's weakness is that they don't have that much competitive depth. You know what I mean? When it comes to that position, there's a fall off from Jackie Marshall to his backup, right? So tire him out. Tire him out. That's what the running game is for, Colorado. Tire these guys out. That's your strength. Get them rotating and then hit them. And then hit them deep. You know, help Shador. That's going to be important in this game. Trevion May, the transfer from Oregon. He's been at Baylor for 2 years, but he spent a couple up at Oregon. I think he's a 6-year senior, got 10 tackles, 1 sack on the season. Another guy, outside linebacker type of guy, Garment Randolph, 6'8", 260, 6-year senior, 10 tackles, 1 sack on the season. Another guy that they bring in for depth at linebacker is Brooks Miller, 5th-year senior, 6'2", 225, 5 tackles, and a forced fumble in the season. They got a young corner, Caden Jenkins, had a bunch of pass interference calls on with Utah. I'm guessing Colorado may seen that on the film, so they're probably going to pick on him. He's already 6'1", 177, sophomore, young guy. Not really too active out there on the field. The only thing, only got like 1 tackle, but he hasn't had much work. I talked about Jackie Marshall. I talked about Devin Bobby a little bit earlier. That's the safety, the junior safety, 5'11", 196. Talked about him. And don't let me forget Keaton Thomas, right? Keaton Thomas is number 7 in the Big 12 right now when it comes to tackling. 25 tackles. He already got a pick and a forced fumble. He is everywhere, and he's everywhere. Him and Matt Jones. Matt Jones is number 3 in the Big 12 as far as tackles go. 28 tackles and 1 pass defended. Matt Jones, 6'4", 246. He's the linebacker. Keaton Thomas. These guys can play sideline to sideline. They can get it done. And that's Baylor's strength, is their defense. Colorado's offensive line has to hold up against Baylor's front 6 or front 7. They have to hold up, because I don't know if I could sit here and say that if I'm Baylor, one of my key points would be to try to force Colorado to run the ball. Then I'm sure that a D1 head coach or defensive coordinator could be saying the same thing. You know what I mean? Let me force them to run, because I don't want the ball in Shador's hands. All they have to do is give Shador 2 seconds. Give him 2 Mississippis, and he's completing a pass. He's going to pick any defense apart, right? So if I'm Baylor, that's probably what you want to focus on, right? All right. Now, on the other hand, some of the key players on that defense for Colorado, a lot of guys have been showing up. A lot of guys have been showing up. In this run game, you're going to need some hole pluggers, and they're going to need their linebackers to step up, and maybe some depth at linebacker. It's going to have to be more than just Bentley and Hill Green in this game. Those guys are both 230 pounds. Yes, 6'2", 6 foot, 230-pound linebackers. Big guys, strong guys. But this is versus another big, strong opponent in a physical football team, right? If they mirror somewhat of what Nebraska was able to do to Colorado, so Colorado got to come out and act like this is another rivalry game. Got to come out, be physical as they were the last couple games, and I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. If they come out in any way, shape, or form, and they let Shador get sacked more than four or 5 times this game, 1 or 2, okay. But if he's going down more than 3 times, that's not good. That is not good. That's going to have him totally off rhythm. So this offensive line for Colorado has to step up this game against these guys. These guys will bring it. Their experience, their physical, and you have to protect Shador. And that defensive line has to have a field day. Dayon Hayes, 6'3", 265, 13 tackles on the season, 2 sacks. He got to have more plays. Dayon Hayes should have at least right now, he should have got 5 to 6 tackles in that Nebraska game. I know he's trying to make up for it now. He got to get active on that defensive end off that edge. He has to. Anquan Barnes, I know his stats have not been sexy here to say, with only 2 tackles, but he's filling the gaps. But he has to become a little bit more than that. Let's go to the next level now. Anquan Barnes, 6'5", 315 in the middle. Shane Coates, 6'3", 275, 7 tackles. He always is good for making a play or two in the back, getting the TFL, or stopping them dead at the line. Shane Coates has been showing up on your TV screens so far, but they're going to need that out of him. They're going to need the same kind of game out of Preston Hodge that he had last game. They're going to need that. Cameron Solomon Craig, he's been pretty consistent since he's been up in there. And I must say that this defense just has gotten better since Shiloh's been out. It's just the truth. Everybody's play has elevated. That defense seems to be on one accord. These guys have chemistry. I don't know if it's because some so-called number 2 backups on the defense are together and they have that chemistry, but that defense seems to have chemistry, and I wouldn't want to break that up. So I don't know what's going on. I guess you could say Shiloh has a starting position there on that defense or whatever's going on, but it seemed to be put together. DJ McKinney is one of the best right now in the Big 12 in tackling and, getting to the ball. So it is what it is. They're going to have to come up and they're going to have to play ball, because regardless if Baylor is a bad program or sitting at like the so-called bottom tier of the Big 12 in football, they are still going to have to show up against Baylor. They are. We're going to have to play them just like you play any other game, just like this is a tough game, because if not, Baylor will walk away with it. Mistake-free football. I seen some people and some other, chats and stuff like that, message boards, if you will, talking about this game may be a turnover. Whoever doesn't who wins the turnover battle. I think both teams have suffered enough with turnovers, right? I mean, Baylor had some fumbles that were uncalled for turnovers. So that's how you lose to Colorado. Colorado gets a head up on you, and then you can unleash those pass rushers. Dayon Hayes, Sam Okanola. When you unleash them and they're coming at you and they're playing from ahead, you're not catching Colorado. And I'm sure that Baylor knows that, but they go and try to slow the game down. And the one thing that with them, they will stay consistent with this run. They will do that. And this offensive line has a little push. But the one thing that Baylor does have, the one thing that Colorado has in their favor, and I hate to say this because they're kind of similar. Colorado's trying to figure out their offensive line a little bit. They're tinkering and playing with it. And that's the same thing goes for Baylor. Baylor's tinkering and playing with their offensive line and seeing what guys are going to go there or who's going to do the best. So when it comes to the offensive line, it's pretty much the same. Don't sleep on Sawyer Robinson. I must say that. Colorado defense, do not sleep on Sawyer Robinson. He is not the most athletic quarterback, but he is fast enough for you to have to account for him. Okay? Because they have quarterback design runs. And I'm sure that they're going to try to implement that in this game because of the rain. And they're probably going to want to keep the ball from out of the air. I wouldn't be, I would trust the cornerback. So I'm really not worried about Colorado's cornerbacks, right? I'm really not worried about that. But this run game, it has been a little leaky at times. Giving up big plays, letting the lineman get to the second level defensive line. Got to do your job. And so if they can do that, Colorado wins the game. If Baylor can run the ball effectively and be able to get to Shador this game, I think Baylor will win the game. This game is close when you get to looking at it. I mean, Vegas knows something that we don't. I think it's only up at 2 points, 2.5 points or something at home. Favored to win by a field goal at the most. But I think it should be a good game. Some people think it's going to be a blowout, and I think it can end up being a blowout if Colorado sticks with the run. If they're able to take the run away. But so far this year, they have not been able to take the run completely away from a football team. They're giving up about 150 yards per game rushing. So they have to be able to show that they're going to stop the run, because Baylor, well, they have a good punter, and so does Colorado. So this could be a back and forth kind of game. Colorado come out, get up on them quick and fast, but don't sleep on them defensive linemen, so they just protect Shador. Colorado start fast, get those playmakers going, hit that end zone, and play from ahead, force Baylor to pass the ball. They got it. And I think it's just that simple in this kind of game. I really do, honestly. But will the rain affect the passing? We don't know yet. We don't know if it affect the ball. We'll have to wait and see how that's going during the game. We'll have to wait and see during there. But I think that all in all, man, it could potentially end up in a blowout and Colorado winning this game by 14. But from my research and what I've been looking at and the way that this Baylor defense plays, even these deep defensive backs for Baylor really not getting a lot of reps in, and Colorado will be their real first test. Because they play Utah, but Utah is a way more balanced team than Colorado. Let's just be honest. They're going to get tested, and let's see how these DBs hold up, because nobody really never seen too much from them, So we'll see how they hold up against these receivers from Colorado. And Colorado played one G5 team and they lost. Baylor's played one Power 5 team and lost in Nebraska. And same thing with Baylor. The one Power 5 team they have played, they lost against to Utah 23-12. Colorado lost to Nebraska 28-10. They beat North Dakota State G5 program. They beat Colorado State G5 program. Baylor's beat Tarleton State, and they also beat their G5 opponent that they played in the Air Force. So this is if you're looking at it, this is a chance for both of these teams to possibly come out with a W. And I think that both of these head coaches know that. Both of these teams know that. Dave Aranda has been trending downwards. However, both of these teams are 2-1. This night game on Fox at 8 p.m. will be watched. I think this may be a good one, but it does got the potential to become a blowout. It does. It does. And certain things work certain ways. But look, that's my breakdown, y'all. Appreciate y'all kicking it with me, man. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know how I did. Let me know if y'all rocking with it or not. If y'all know enough information about both teams and all the players that could be showing up on the stat sheet offensively and defensively. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mentioned a couple of other people. The receivers, the tight end for Baylor, Michael Trigg, Keaton Jackson, the receiver, Ashton Hawkins, and Ray Baldwin, the receivers. Like I said, they really haven't got a lot of reps in with the quarterback. So I think that may be in Colorado's favor, a lot of game reps. Well, we'll see. Like I said, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, man. I know I had to throw that in on the end of the video on y'all, but it's all good. Bitch, I got the information. Look, rock out. And I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Peace.